everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my July wrap-up. So I read a total of 8 books in July. One of them was a physical book and 7 of them were ebooks. July was kind of a rough month reading-wise for me. I didn't read a lot and I also didn't really love a lot of it. A lot of them were 3 stars. I had 2 4 stars. I also had 1 2 star as well, but yeah, it was kind of a rough month reading wise. I just really wasn't in the mood, and it's not that I'm disappointed in myself for not reading a lot, it's just I get frustrated because I can't focus, and it's like more of my mental health than it is like having time to read or finding time to read. I have a lot of it. It's just like I can't concentrate enough to finish a whole book. So it's been really rough. I feel like the last 2 years it has been rough reading wise, but I don't want to complain about it. So let's just get into all 8 books I read in July. So the first book was a physical book, and that is Ghosted by J.M. Darhower. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I started the month off on a high and it kind of went downhill, but as I mentioned in my 5-star predictions video, sadly it didn't turn out to be a 5-star book, but still was a 4-star. I still really enjoyed it. This is a second chance romance. It follows our female character who's a single mom, and she's just trying to live her life and raise her daughter, and she's just trying to do her best. And our male character is a Hollywood actor, and he has this successful superhero show, but he's kind of just struggling with fame a little bit and what he wants out of life. I can't remember what his addiction is, but he is an addict and he's kind of struggled with that for years. And obviously because it is a second chance romance, our 2 characters have known each other when they were younger and they fell in love, but his addiction and just life in general kind of separated them. And our male character definitely wants a second chance, and he really wants to try to make it work between the 2 of them, but her fears of his addiction coming in the way again, and now his fame, and there's just a lot going on. I'm not explaining this book very well, but I really enjoyed it and I thought it was a great second chance romance. I liked the characters. I always love books with children, with kids. I always think it's really cute, and I really liked their family dynamic, and yeah, it was just a really good second chance romance. Then I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I had seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that this was comparable to Marriage for One, and I know a lot of people are hyping up Lauren Asher, especially her Dirty Air series, like Throttled I think is the first book. I still want to read that one, but this was her newest release, so I decided to go ahead and check it out. Yeah, it was just like a decent 3-star read for me. There was nothing wrong with it, I just didn't really love it. This follows Rowan, who is part of this family business where they essentially have theme parks and hotels and a bunch of other companies and businesses and stuff, and he runs it with his brothers. The parks are kind of struggling, I guess, so he is determined to have more business and make them more successful and just kind of revamp them. And Zara works for his company, and one night she decides to send an email, a drunk email, explaining her dreams and visions for the theme parks. And the next morning she realizes her huge mistake, and she thinks that Rowan will fire her, but instead he hires her in a better, higher position, and he offers her this job to help create and update the theme parks and events and stuff like that. So they just have to work together, and obviously he's her boss, so they shouldn't really be crossing any of those lines. It was decent. I just don't feel like it really stuck with me. I just thought it was kind of long and a little boring. I just didn't really connect with the characters and their romance. I think also people who compared it to Marriage for One, like that's a huge mistake, because I went into this book expecting there to not be an outside plot. However, there was a lot of business talk and a lot of that kind of stuff, and I just found it very boring. I see the comparisons for Marriage for One, but it is definitely not to that standard. Then I read Jet by Sawyer Bennett. This is book 10 in the Arizona Vengeance series, and this I had an e-arc of. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is a hockey romance. So this follows Emery, who is working on the team's social media presence. She's not really looking to date a hockey player. She doesn't really want to mix her work with the team. Jet is super into her, like immediately when he sees her. He really wants to ask her out on a date, and he really just wants to have fun with her. And because Jet is not really looking for anything serious, Emery decides to give it a try, and they kind of have this friends with benefits situation going on. But Emery has a lot going on, and Jet can't help but want to help her, and eventually things become way too serious. But I really enjoyed this. I also loved the third act breakup thing that happens. I really liked the way that was done. I do feel like the ending was very quick though. I wish it was a little bit longer. But yeah, I liked the characters. I liked the romance. I feel like Sawyer Bennett writes really great hockey romances, and I can always count on her books to cheer me up and just to be really refreshing and fun. It was another great book by Sawyer Bennett. Then I read Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie Ann Cole. This I gave 3 out of 5 stars. This is a age gap marriage of convenience romance. This follows our female character who is almost done with high school, and she has a really rough home life. And our male character is a construction worker, and he's working kind of close by the school. And one day her car isn't working, so he offers her a ride, and they kind of start to get to know each other, and they become friends. He ends up witnessing her rough home life, and he offers kind of a solution to her problems. Basically, he asks her to marry him so that she can be on like his health plans and his insurance, and just have a better chance at having a successful life later on, essentially. I just feel like, again, maybe it was a little too long. It's like almost 500 pages, I think. It's a pretty long book, and I feel like a lot of times not a lot happened, and I think if it was shorter, I probably would have loved it a little bit more. I think I also had really high expectations because everybody I have seen has loved this book, and it has like a 4.2 on Goodreads, and I don't know, it just didn't live up to the hype. I don't know, it was just decent. I also feel like a lot of these books, like a 3-star is not a bad rating. It's more just like I didn't fully care. It was like a part of me cared about the characters in the story, but then also a part of me didn't, and I was a little bored and things dragged on. Like that's how I describe a 3-star read for me, is like it just doesn't stand out to me fully. Then I read Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, which I also gave 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like everybody has been raving about this author, especially on BookTube, and I've also seen it on Bookstagram a lot, and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't find it super special. I didn't particularly like the female character. This was our male character, who is the heir to the Irish mafia, and essentially he gets into an arranged marriage to a princess of a rival mafia family. Honestly, that's really it. Like I don't feel like much happened. Both characters hated each other. I just feel like it was kind of all over the place. I personally feel like there wasn't much of a storyline, because I don't even remember like what the storyline was, other than it was enemies to lovers and they tried to kill each other. That's all I remember from this book. I do want to try to read the next book in the series, but I don't really get the hype. I don't really get it. Then I read Waylaid by Serena Bowen. This is book 8 in the True North series. This I also sadly gave 3 out of 5 stars. I really love the True North series. I think it's a great new adult series. I love how the later books in the series take place more in college. This is Daphne's story. She is the youngest in the Shipley family. So Ricky is working on Daphne's family farm. He's a new hired help, I guess, and he's friends with Daphne's twin brother. Ricky is constantly flirting with Daphne. He recognizes her and she looks really familiar to him, but he can't really place where he knows her from, and he just kind of assumes, oh, I know her through her brother. Daphne finds out that Ricky did have a head injury and he did lose a year of his memory, so she kind of feels bad that she was blaming him and like angry that he didn't remember her, because they kind of had a very memorable encounter and they were actually supposed to go out on a date. Daphne is really hesitant to give him a shot because of how hurt she was when he stood her up that one time, but eventually she kind of gives in to his charm. There's also kind of a little bit of a small like mystery aspect to this book. You kind of have to figure out what happened to Ricky and like what his head injury was. I liked it. I do feel like the mystery aspect definitely throws off the book and throws off the vibe of the book, because I feel like when I think of this whole series, like I think of just very like warm family fuzzy feelings, and this one definitely took like a darker, more serious tone. Liked both characters. I liked their romance. Just the mystery stuff definitely kind of ruined the book for me a little bit. Then I read the Varsity Dab Dilemma by Lex Martin. This I also gave 3 out of 5 stars. This is a college new adult romance and it follows a football team. So this follows the star quarterback and he is kind of a partier. He lives in this party house and he is kind of a playboy, and one day during an actual party there's a baby that is left on the doorstep and a letter that says, "One of you is the father." Our female character is a neighbor and she kind of steps in and helps out the guys with the baby, and she also has kind of a little bit of a past with the male character. They don't really get along. Our female character basically hates the male character, but she really wants to just help out with the baby and to help figure out who the real father is. I did like it. I liked the characters. I just feel like maybe the romance lacked a little bit for me or something. I feel like something was missing with this book. I do hope Lex Martin writes books about the other guys on the team because I do want to read them. This one was just like a decent college romance. And the last book I read in July was Bad Blood by Cora Kenborn and Catherine Wilcher. This I gave 2 out of 5 stars. This is a mafia dark romance. Essentially it follows 2 rival families. Our female character is trying to win some money for this problem that she has, and she decides to go to this casino that is owned by this rival family, and they end up catching her there, and the male character essentially offers to pay her debts if she marries him so that he can kind of slowly take revenge on her family. It honestly felt like there were too many plots happening. There were too many things happening. I just felt like sometimes I was a little confused of like who was part of which family and like all the ties. I feel like sometimes it was a little overwhelming with like all these different characters. I also just didn't feel their connection. Like I did not feel that they were super attracted to each other, that they were super into each other. I just didn't feel that. I do want to check out maybe some other books by these authors, but I don't know, I have very high standards when it comes to mafia romances. I feel like there are only a select few people who can actually write realistic, decent ones. I feel like a lot of them are very exaggerated, over the top. They have way too many plots going on, like way too many things. I think sometimes we need more of like a mystery aspect where it's like if the characters know so much or like know everything that goes on, it just kind of loses its appeal, I guess. I like the mystery aspect of mafia romances. Anyways, this was a okay mafia romance. So that was it for my July wrap up. Let me know how many books you guys read in July and which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!